Hello, and welcome back to Collision Repair's Industry Insider. I'm your host, Allison Rogers. This week, we spoke to MacGregor, Manitoba's Len Boschman, the owner of MacGregor's Four-Way Motors, and he's working on a build for SEMA that's sure to make you say zoinks. Len is transforming a 1961 Ford Econoline into his own version of the iconic Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine. He's taking the build to the International RATical Rod Build-Off Drive-Off competition at this year's SEMA show, a contest that sees hobbyist builders from all over the globe trek their vehicles to Las Vegas for the ideal showcasing opportunity. Collision Repair reached out to Len to hear more about the competition and what the next 8 months have in store for the Econoline. So Len, you're the owner of MacGregor, Manitoba's Four-Way Motors, and how long have you owned the business?
Well, it actually all started as a family-run business from 1967 when my dad and my uncle had it. But it's changed hands a couple times since, a couple times. We acquired it back, I think 19 years ago. Yeah, 2001 to be exact. So it's been very positive that we're in the same building, same location, same address and everything. So it's kind of neat when you hear Four-Way Motors and a lot of people that remember buying their farm vehicles and stuff from the 60s and 70s and 80s, whatever, and they go, "Oh man, I remember dealing with your dad back then," and it's pretty cool. So, and we've got mechanical as well as auto body, as well as towing, as well as car sales. So.
Oh, awesome! You got it all, everything under one roof there, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we ended up jumping on board with Tesla 4 years ago, and we're the charging station here. We work on Teslas. We do auto body on Teslas. Even we work on the Teslas as long as it's changing out panels, not repairing. Like repairing a quarter would have to go to a Tesla certified, but we just did a claim last week on one that hit a deer, so it's bumper, fender, headlight stuff. We do all that. So.
Cool, you guys are on a roll then. So we're all familiar with the Las Vegas SEMA show, but could you tell us a little bit more about the competition that you're participating in, the International RATical Rod Build-Off Drive-Off? How did you first become involved?
So what there is they call it an International RATical with a T, so RATical.
RATical, yes.
RATical Rod Build-Off Drive-Off. And so what this entails is they hunted me down. We were in Vegas in 2018 with a custom, and if you want to look up retro K5 Blazer, we built a new version of the old K5 Blazer. So we hand-built this body. It started life as a four-door Tahoe or Yukon, and we put a regular truck cab on it, shortened up a frame, and then sectioned in the floor pan from the four-door Yukon to for your seat mounting positions and everything, and safety, and then had we built a removable fiberglass roof from a leaf camper shell.
Oh, cool.
So if you go to that Retro K5 on YouTube, and then it kind of snowballed, and we got approached by Brian Daigle that runs this RATical Drive-Off and asked if we would be interested in being a participant in the 2020 build-off.
Awesome.
So what it is they get a group, and I believe there's 23 this year. We all have to build this custom vehicle. We're not allowed to start till January the 1st. So we all had to film January the 1st. Here's our vehicle. It hasn't been touched. This is our parts. If you have a parts vehicle or whatever, you're able to take the parts vehicle apart, but you are not any forward progression. So you've got January the 1st till October 25th to build this vehicle. You have to then have it in Lincoln, Nebraska at Speedway Motors, and that's where this event starts. Speedway Motors being a sponsor to this event. And then it's a 4-day drive from there to Las Vegas, so 1,500 miles. And so this year I did the drive-off with the 2019 group, just to kind of get the feel of it, to know what I'm up against and such. And I tell you, I'm glad I did, because there was a Team England, New Zealand, Australia, Florida, and Louisiana. These vehicles had no heater systems put into them. A couple of them didn't even have wipers. And we ran into freezing rain. We ran into snow. It was like minus 17 Celsius one morning.
Oh my gosh.
These guys had a hard time. One guy from Saskatchewan with his vehicle, he had to put an oil pan heater underneath. So
oh my gosh.
Diesel sitting outside. So And it was challenging. One guy blew a transmission, another guy had suspension braking issues 3 times that he had to find help on the road, and to complete this journey, you have to drive it the whole way. Mm-hmm. So you trailer it, you go back to where you broke down and continue your drive. So
wow, so that's kind of the whole point of the competition, is to make sure it can make that 4-day drive.
So these guys, a lot of Vegas builders, the chip boosters and all that, they build super nice vehicles and everything. Don't get me wrong, they're impeccable. But would they do a 1,500-mile drive like that without any work on them? I'd say good luck to some of them. That's another part of this competition. You cannot hire outside professional help like that. Even though some guys got the deep pockets, this is designed for the shop owners, the gearhead guys that are, don't necessarily do this for a living. This is kind of the hobbyist thing.
Mm-hmm. So you're planning on turning a 1961 Ford Econoline into a Scooby-Doo inspired mystery machine, and the vehicle's been sitting at 4-way since 1996.
Going back, 1996.
Okay.
The guy in MacGregor here, his name is Dennis Williams. He worked up at the DEW line, which is in Northwest Territories for the government. Mm-hmm. And it's I think owned by NASA, from what I understand. And he watched the radars for the military. Mm-hmm. So this was his communication van that he used down there at work.
Oh, awesome! So you got a connection to that.
Yeah. So back then he said, well, this thing, they were done with it. They're not using it anymore. He got told to haul it for scrap metal.
Okay.
So he drove this thing from Northwest Territories to MacGregor here, and he left it with us. And he says, someday I want you to restore this thing for me. And 1996 until this year, I had no plans of doing anything with it, and he had passed away. So I approached the family, and I said, I've had this thing sitting here for all these years. I'd like to do something with it. I've got this opportunity to do this drive-off for Vegas, and the family donated the van to us.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, for that is an honor in itself, right?
Yeah, it's got like a personal connection and everything to it.
Yeah, and so they're strongly watching this build, the family, and school teachers in town and stuff like that. Very respected family. So that's kind of our idea with doing the van. And then the mystery machine just popped up, and Mike that works here, his head, he said, this will get people talking. When you're walking around SEMA show and you say, oh, did you see that 61 Econoline? The guy goes, well, I've seen lots of Econolines or whatever. But if you hear, did you see the mystery machine? Mm-hmm. That sticks in people's heads.
Yeah, you're right.
So now they're looking for this because they grew up with it. They remember seeing this. And mystery machine, I had people commenting, I'm on a couple of different van forums, and they said, why would you name it the Mystery Machine? Why wouldn't you have your own name on it? The Mystery Machine is done to death. Mm-hmm. And I said, this is the reason I did it, because you guys are all talking about it now.
Mm-hmm. It's a cultural symbol, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. This is part of pop culture, and this is going to get people talking. And then, with the big high horsepower diesel in the back, and, that's ultra cool. And we narrowed up the Dana 80 differential and put duals underneath the back just to add a little bit more uniqueness to it. And it's 3 inches off the ground right now, and it's on air ride, and there's just so much to it.
Yeah. Wow.
We're custom making the rear doors into like a ramp door. There's no side opening doors on this one. It was ordered without any side doors.
Okay.
We are opening up a side panel, kind of like where the side window would be, and it's going to be like a display rack for all of our sponsors. But now you can look into the van, and you can see the engine and transmission on display from the side.
Oh, neat.
So BD Diesel jumped on board out of Vancouver, and they're sponsoring us with a whole bunch of Go Fast parts, because now they can display their parts and people can actually see it. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
We'll have this engine doghouse that's removable, so we can display the engine and all the detail and everything there.
Wow, it's super comprehensive. That's awesome. There's so much work going into this. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like I say, we've got 9 months to build this thing, and it's because we've got our job too, right? We're doing insurance work here, and we're the direct repair facility, and the Autopack keeps us so stinking busy. It's a night and weekend project, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What progress have you made on the build since the competition started on January 1st?
We started with gutting the van, of course, cutting out the whole floor pan, stripping everything out of the inside. We have custom built the chassis, so the frame system, it's all made. Engine and transmission differentials narrowed, everything is mounted in it. The steering and then it is all now mounted inside the van. We're just in the process of building the floor pans.
Okay.
And then, so we're working on the back section right now on the interior, and then we're going to move to the front and start working on the, steering column and the brake system and all that. And then when it comes to the body mods, we're thinking that it'll be probably late April. We're going to be starting on the body, and we're expecting probably about 3 weeks worth of body modifications, doing all the custom, doors and stuff that we'll be building.
Mm-hmm.
So Exalta, and I did confirm that this morning, but they did right off the hop come on board with us. Whatever paint materials you need, we're on board. We're giving you everything for it. Like, everybody is just coming together so well.
Yeah.
Brett McNeil was here yesterday from 3M. He said, what do you want, Len? What do you want? And I said, well, we're using your paint materials every day, like sanding and stuff. And he says, let Terry know, your Napa rep, what you want. I'm looking after everything. And-Am Auto Glass, they jumped on board and supplying us with all the glass. And but Napa, Napa right off the hop, what do you need? And we're filming once a week of our progress, and it's, we're dealing with a guy named Tim Prokop. He's from GRB Production Studios in LA, and they're making like a Netflix production to these different TV stations and stuff. And Napa, Chris Kinghorn came on board there from Quebec, and he says, well, you need Napa tools, or you can't have a Canadian Tire jack, and you can't have this and that. So they sent us out the RATical tool line from Napa, the toolbox, the cabinets, the jack stands, the creepers, new floor jacks, like say, everything. And then he says, I'm looking after all the steering and suspension and brakes. Whatever you need, give Terry from Napa and Portage the list. I'll look after it all.
Oh my gosh, this is so incredible. I love how everyone's coming together.
I can't believe on the reaction that this is getting. So it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Like, congratulations on all this. It's so impressive.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's like I say, the automotive family, like everybody, cause I'm dedicated. Like, we've been a Napa store for many years, and I'm like, we're so dedicated to them, and same with 3M and Exalta.
When it all comes down to it, October 25th rolls around. How long do you think the total restoration will take, like in terms of hours put into it?
I kind of roughly guess we're going to have about 2,000 to 2,500 man hours into it. 2,000 to 2,500. So, and then and again, if time is going to be the factor. So, are we going to get the time to wet sand and polish and detail the living snot out of this thing? I really hope so. Some people say this patina, like some guys say you should just leave that old patina. It's got 60 years of sitting outside. Like, this thing looks amazing. Just work with that body the way it is. But that's the way the rat rod thing is going.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm still up in the air. But with Exalta jumping on board, and I think I want to really showcase their materials. One of my friends in Brandon that's on our build, Brian Fiddler, he's an airbrushed artist, tattoo artist type deal, and he's done a lot of show bikes for different companies in Las Vegas.
Awesome.
So he's on board as well. He's going to be doing our custom airbrushing and pinstriping and stuff as needed on this thing.
Yeah.
And one other thing, last week, I'm friends with Brett Wagner, and he's best known as Big Schwag from Pastime and from Monster Garage, those TV shows.
Yes.
And so him and I have been texting back and forth, and I've been sending him pictures. Well, so he's going to do some voice ads for us on this build as well. And I'm just waiting till I get all my sponsorships together, and he's going to do like a big, his voice is well known. People know his voice when he comes to talking. So he's going to do some ads for us as well. So.
Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of work on your hands, Len. Good thing you've got all the sponsor support to help you out. Thanks so much for speaking to us today. I can't wait to see what the build looks like at SEMA. And make sure to check back to 4-Way Motors' Facebook page for frequent updates on the Mystery Machine's progress. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Industry Insider. Be sure to stay tuned to Collision Repair for new episodes every single week. And you can even subscribe to our podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play Music.